It happens again. 3:14 a.m. No alarm, no sound, just your eyes, open, and your heart, already beating a little faster than you'd like. You try to turn over, try to sink back into the pillow, but you can feel it already. That familiar wave of thought, memory, worry, randomness. Your mind doesn't ask permission, it just starts talking. And even though the room is dark, you feel exposed. You reach for the blanket, but it's not warmth you're missing. It's direction, because no one ever told you what to do in these early hours. They only said you should sleep. And now, since you can't, you feel like you've failed. But you haven't. You're not broken. You're not doing anything wrong. You're simply awake, at the quietest hour of your life, and what you choose to do next can shape everything that follows. You sit up, swing your feet slowly to the floor, and before anything else, you place one hand over your heart, not to check it, to hold it, because here's the first thing you must remember. 1. Don't fight the wake-up. Accept it and sit with it. Your body isn't malfunctioning, it's speaking. Science says that as estrogen levels decline, your circadian rhythm becomes more fragile. The hormones that kept your sleep deep and steady now arrive in smaller doses. Your liver is detoxing, your temperature is shifting, your adrenal system is stirring, preparing for morning. You're not failing, you're just older, and your body deserves compassion, not punishment. So you sit, breathe, feet flat on the floor, no judgment, no panic, just presence. Because in this hour, it's not rest you need most, it's reassurance. You walk slowly to the kitchen, no lights, just a lamp. And instead of caffeine or sugar or distraction, you pour a glass of room temperature water. 2 sips, 3, and then you do the second thing. 2. Tend to your body with stillness, gentle movement, no phone. You don't check the news, you don't scroll, you stretch, nothing dramatic. You roll your shoulders, rotate your ankles, reach toward the ceiling, bend slowly forward. You touch your body, not to shape it, but to say, I'm here, I still care, you're safe. Because that, more than sleep, is what your body has been asking for. You light a small candle, no screens, no harsh light, just a glow. And as you sit back down, you start to feel it. A shift, not back into sleep, but into peace. You're not waiting for the sun anymore. You've become your own light. And that realization, it changes everything. You write it in your notebook. I did not fight the morning. I welcomed it gently, and in doing so, I welcomed myself. Later in the video, you'll uncover the third thing to do, how to quiet the mind, ease the thoughts, and turn these hours into something that heals you instead of exhausting you. You've stretched, you've sipped your water, you've sat in the soft light, breathing like someone who trusts the moment. But still, the thoughts come. They always do. Memories, questions, a strange dream that made no sense. That one comment from your sister last week, the ache in your left hip, a bill you forgot to pay, the way your hands feel colder than they used to. They don't ask to be heard. They just arrive. And if you're not careful, you'll follow them all the way into exhaustion. But not tonight. Tonight, you try something else. You reach for your notebook, not to make a list, not to fix anything, just to listen. Because here's the third thing to do when the night feels heavier than you expected. 3. Give your thoughts somewhere to go before they carry you away. Not your phone, not your memory. A pen. You open the page, write today's date, and without judgment, You let the thoughts spill. I miss my mother. I feel restless. I want to feel better in my body. I'm doing the best I can. Tomorrow, I'll take a short walk. I'm still here. No grammar, no plan, just release. Because studies show that writing in the early hours activates a different part of your brain, a quieter, deeper one. And when you place your fears on the page, your nervous system calms, your pulse steadies, your breath lengthens, your mind lets go. You glance back at what you wrote, not as a solution, but as a mirror. And the reflection says, I am still whole, even when I feel undone. You close the notebook, and instead of trying to force yourself back to bed, you sit quietly for a few more minutes. This isn't wasted time. It's healing, because in this hour, you've met your own mind with kindness, and that's rarer than sleep. You look out the window. The sky is still dark, but something inside you no longer is. You place one hand on your notebook, the other on your lap, and whisper, "Thank you for staying awake with me. I'm no longer afraid of this hour." Later in the video, you'll learn the fourth thing to do, an action so small you may have ignored it for years, yet it holds the power to restore your balance, breath, and emotional steadiness before dawn. The night is still quiet. The world outside your window hasn't stirred, but inside you, something is beginning to soften. The thoughts have spilled onto paper. Your shoulders aren't holding the weight they were an hour ago. You're not trying to fall asleep. You're just being. And that's when it happens. Your body starts asking for something small, something simple. Touch. Not from someone else, from you. You roll your wrists gently, rub your palms together, bring your fingertips to your temples, and begin to massage. Slow, steady, without urgency. Because here's the next thing you learn. 4. Calm your nervous system with gentle, intentional touch. It doesn't need to be complicated. You're not fixing anything. You're offering yourself a message that says, I am not in danger. I am safe. I am home inside this body. Science calls it self-soothing behavior. It lowers cortisol, reduces tension in the vagus nerve, and helps regulate your breath, your blood pressure, your emotional temperature. You don't need pills. You don't need screens. You just need presence, in your hands. You rub behind your ears, down your neck, along your collarbone. You press gently on the base of your skull, where sleep once lived. You move slowly across your chest, not with fear, but with familiarity. This is still me, you think. This is still mine. And it is, even after all these years, all these changes, all the ways you thought you'd lost your connection to your body. You haven't. It was always waiting for you, in the still hours, in the silence, in the touch that doesn't ask for anything in return. You finish with your hands resting softly over your belly, the place you once held children, held breath, held emotion. Now it holds only quiet. You feel the rise and fall, the rhythm. You don't force rest. You don't chase it. You just receive it. You return to your chair, a little lighter, a little more at peace. You're not asleep, but you're not awake in the way you were before either. You've entered a space few people ever find. Still, calm, unrushed. You write one more line in your notebook. I met my body with kindness, and it responded with grace. Later in the video, you'll discover the fifth and final thing, something small, sacred, and often forgotten, that helps you carry this peace into the daylight hours ahead. It's almost 5 a.m. now. The sky outside your window is still blue-black, but there's a hint, just a hint, of silver along the edges. You're not tired, not wired either, just steady. You've been awake for over an hour, but somehow, you don't feel robbed. You feel returned. And as the candle flickers quietly on your table, You reach for something that's become part of your rhythm, not out of obligation, but as a final act of intention. You speak, softly, not to the room, not to anyone else, but to yourself. Because here is the final thing to do when you wake up between 3 and 5 a.m. 5. Set a quiet intention for the day, before the world speaks over you. Not a goal, not a list, an invitation. You place your hand over your heart and say one sentence. Today, I will be gentle with myself. Or maybe, today, I will enjoy something slowly. Or even, today, I will rest where I can and not feel guilty. You don't chant it. You don't push it. You just let it rise from the body that's still learning, from the heart that's still healing, from the woman who's still here. You write the sentence down, not because you'll forget it, but because you want to honor it, like a blessing, like a promise, like something sacred that only you can give yourself. And that's exactly what it is. You close the notebook, you blow out the candle, you fold the blanket back over the armrest, you walk slowly to the window and watch the first real line of daylight cut across the sky like a soft ribbon. And you whisper, I made it through the hardest hour, and I made it home to myself. You may or may not fall back asleep, but that's no longer the point. The point is, you're not waking up lost anymore. You're waking up on purpose. You are no longer afraid of 3 a.m. because you've turned it into a ritual, a return, a practice, not of sleep, but of self. And that's something most people never learn to do. You've learned, and now you carry that strength into the day ahead. If this story brought you calm, if it reminded you that your night hours still have value, that your rest is not defined by a clock, but by the care you give yourself, please consider subscribing, because here, we don't just talk about sleep, we talk about being awake in the ways that still matter most. You once thought waking up at 3 a.m. was a problem, a sign of aging, a weakness, a betrayal of the body you used to trust. But now, you know better. Now you understand. You weren't broken. You were being invited, not into rest, but into returning, to stillness, to reflection, to yourself. You no longer fear those early hours. You meet them, gently, deliberately, with water, with movement, with breath, with light, with words. And you no longer ask, why am I awake? You ask instead, what do I need right now? That shift changes everything, because it turns a restless night into a sacred ritual, one where you hold yourself with the tenderness the world forgets to offer. You've made peace with the quiet. You've made peace with your thoughts. And more than anything, you've made peace with your body, not by forcing it to sleep, but by choosing to be present even when sleep doesn't come. So if you're a woman in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, and you're awake when the rest of the world is silent, remember this: you're not alone. You're not behind. You're not weak. You are aware. You are still capable of care. And the way you treat yourself between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. may just shape how the rest of your day and your life feels. If this story helped you breathe deeper, if it reminded you that your quiet hours still matter, please consider subscribing. Because here, we don't just talk about sleep routines. We talk about reclaiming time, restoring presence, and waking up, not just from dreams, but into your own strength.